The perfect picture. Madison and Jake Carter had been married for 7 years, living what most would call the American dream. Their suburban home in Charlotte, North Carolina, had a white picket fence, 2 cars in the garage, and matching mugs that read, his and hers. Jake worked in real estate, and Madison was an executive assistant to the CEO of a thriving marketing firm, Goldbridge Inc. But under the surface, their marriage had started to crumble like dried-out mortar. Jake had become increasingly distant. He came home late, constantly talked about closing deals, and barely noticed when Madison dressed up or made his favorite meal. Their conversations became transactional, grocery lists, bills, appointments, with little intimacy left between them. Madison tried. She really did. But the emotional vacuum grew deeper with each passing day. Then there was him. The boss. Alexander Cross was the kind of man who drew attention when he entered a room. Tall, sharp-jawed, with piercing green eyes that could stop someone mid-sentence. As the CEO of Goldbridge, he was respected, admired, and feared in equal parts. He was also charming in a way Jake hadn't been in years. It started innocently. A compliment on her presentation. A glance that lingered longer than necessary. Madison found herself drawn to him, not just for his looks, but for the way he listened. He noticed her ideas, her perfume, even her new haircut. One late evening after a quarterly meeting, as most of the staff had cleared out, Madison stayed behind to finish compiling reports. Alexander walked past her desk. "You're the hardest worker here, Madison. I hope you know that," he said. She smiled shyly. "Thank you, Mr. Cross. Call me Alex," he replied with a wink. Tension. Over the next few weeks, the tension between them thickened like southern humidity in July. A hand lightly grazing hers when reaching for a coffee cup. Texts after hours that started off about work, then shifted to movies, books, dreams. Madison knew it was dangerous. But it felt exhilarating. Jake never asked who was texting her late at night. He was too busy checking housing market analytics. One rainy evening, Alex offered to drive her home after a late presentation. Madison hesitated. "You trust me?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "I think I do." They didn't go to her house. The hotel room. The hotel was 5 blocks from the office. 5 blocks between loyalty and betrayal. They entered the room silently, both knowing what was about to happen. Madison stood by the window, heart pounding in her chest, watching the rain streak the glass. "You don't have to do this," Alex said softly behind her. "I know," she whispered. "But I want to." The kiss was slow and unsure at first, but quickly gave way to months of built-up tension. His hands knew exactly where to touch, how to hold her in ways Jake hadn't in years. Madison felt seen, desired, alive. They fell onto the bed. And everything changed. The morning after, Madison woke to the sound of distant city traffic and the scent of Alex's cologne on the pillow beside her. Reality crashed in like a tidal wave. She stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. What had she done? Alex stirred beside her. "You okay?" She nodded without speaking. He kissed her shoulder. "You don't have to regret this." "But I do," she whispered. Yet, despite the guilt, she couldn't forget how alive she had felt. How free. She went home to a husband who barely looked up from his laptop when she walked in. "You're late," Jake said, not even asking where she'd been. Cracks. Days turned into weeks. Madison avoided eye contact with Jake. Their bedroom was quieter than ever. She still saw Alex at work, and though they tried to keep things professional, their eyes said everything. Jake started noticing something was off. Madison laughed less, seemed distracted, guarded. "Is there someone else?" he asked one night out of nowhere. She froze. "What?" "You heard me. Is there another man?" Madison couldn't lie fast enough. "No, Jake. Don't be ridiculous." But Jake had been in real estate long enough to read body language, and hers was telling a story she wasn't saying aloud. Discovery. Jake's suspicions turned into action. One evening, while Madison was in the shower, he checked her phone, something he had never done before. What he found made his stomach churn. Messages from AC. Can't stop thinking about last night. Wish you were in my bed instead of his. Jake's world shattered. When Madison stepped out, he was sitting on the bed holding her phone. What's this? He asked quietly. She wrapped the towel tighter around herself. Jake. He stood up, voice rising. How long has this been going on? Tears welled up in her eyes. I didn't mean for it to happen. That's not an answer. Fallout. Jake didn't yell. He didn't throw anything. He just walked out. Madison sat on the edge of the bed, the air feeling thick and impossible to breathe. She tried calling him, but he wouldn't pick up. The house felt cold, like all the warmth had gone with him. Alex tried to reach her, but she ignored his calls too. The affair had been like a drug. Temporary relief with devastating side effects. Now, Madison was facing the wreckage alone. Jake didn't come home that night. Or the night after. Reflection. A week passed before Jake agreed to meet her at a coffee shop. He looked tired, worn. Madison had barely eaten. I'm not here to yell, he said. I just want the truth. She nodded. It happened once. Just once. But the thoughts, the feelings, had been there for a while. Jake stared into his cup. Was it worth it? She didn't answer. I know I wasn't the best husband lately, he continued. But I thought we were still us. So did I, she whispered. Silence stretched between them. The choice. Jake eventually came back home, but things weren't the same. They tried counseling. They tried rekindling. But the betrayal lingered in the spaces between words and glances. Alex eventually left the company, perhaps to start over, or maybe because Madison cut things off completely. One night, sitting on the back porch, Jake turned to her. Do you still love me? Madison hesitated. I think I do, but I don't know if I deserve you. He took her hand. Love isn't about deserving. It's about choosing. Again and again. She looked at him through tears. Then let's choose each other. The end.